Hey everyone, Brick City Brown Chick coming at you with another episode. I'm going to be real honest up front and say this has not been a good week for me. It has been trying and frustrating, but as we all have to do in life, I persevere and move forward. It is Thursday, May 8th, and with a simple puff of white smoke, the whole world changed today. So we are going to talk about Robert Francis Prevost, who will be known forward as Pope Leo XIV. So the conclave started its work yesterday on May 7th. They took 3 votes, we have been told. And today, the black smoke that had come from the Sistine Chapel twice yesterday became white smoke, which signaled to the world that the new pope had been selected. I was very moved by seeing how many people flocked to St. Peter's Square to catch a glimpse, their first glimpse, the world's first glimpse of this new pope. My initial reaction when I saw him for the first time was, I think there is an additional ethnicity besides European. And so when people said he was Peruvian, that immediately clicked for me. American Catholics are in a state of shock in a good way because this is the first American pope. And after thousands of years of history of the Catholic Church, it is an amazing sight to behold. I really did not hear his name among the people who were hedging thoughts and bets about who the new pope would be. All sorts of names were thrown out, but I really don't remember hearing about Cardinal Prevost. What does this mean for the church as it moves forward? The truth is, no one knows. There has already been a ton of speculation about who this pope is, who he will be, what his focus will be, why he chose the name Leo. There's been tons of theories. And I think this really is a situation where we need to wait and let the Pope speak for himself. Upon his elevation today, when he came out onto the balcony, he looked shell-shocked, which I imagine anyone would, but he also looked very thoughtful and very humbled by his selection. There were tears, he was emotional, and from that perspective, I can't imagine what an honor it is for your colleagues to say, we want you to lead us. That is an amazing responsibility. And I think in those first moments on the balcony, he felt that. He blessed the crowd that had assembled, as you would expect him to do. And then he made some comments about what he thinks church should be and how it should serve people. And I really do think that set a tone for a lot of people. I think most people took that as a positive sign that he was going to continue the work that Francis started. I think some people are a little wary of what he will decide. But again, we need to wait and let him speak for himself. He was close to Pope Francis. That has been commonly acknowledged. And so people feel like he will have that added weight on him, that his decisions will in some way reflect decisions Francis had made. One thing that has come through from a lot of folks who know him at the Vatican and other places he's been is that he is not in favor of women priests, women being ordained, women deacons. He is not in favor of that move by the church. And Francis wasn't either. And to my knowledge, no pope ever has been. What Francis did, however, that no other pope had done, is he appointed 2 or 3, I've heard both numbers, of nuns to his papal council, which are people who counsel the Pope, as the name would indicate. And that had never happened before. There had never been women at that high a level in the church. And people saw that as Francis's acknowledgement of the work that nuns do, that women do in the Catholic Church. Having grown up Catholic and gone to school for 12 years in Catholic institutions, I can tell you that Catholic institutions below the college level are run by nuns. They report to the archdiocese in whatever district they're in, but those schools are maintained and grown and thrive because of the work of nuns, because of the work of women. And I think Francis understood that while his teachings and Catholic doctrine said that only men are to be ordained, that priests live in a world where they are to emulate Jesus, and Jesus was a man, and therefore priests should be men. He also understood that women have a very important place in the church. So people are expecting that Pope Leo XIV will carry on that tradition of having women in places of power in the church that prior to Francis, they had never been. And so I think I've heard a lot of feedback from people that they feel that this will be positive for the Catholic Church, that Leo XIV will help the church continue to move forward and progress and walk that fine line between the belief in Catholic doctrine and ideology and helping the church move into the modern era, into the 21st century. Now, I cannot talk about the new Pope without, unfortunately, talking about the current president of the United States and the incredibly ridiculous statement he made about how this is such a great thing to have an American Pope. Here's the thing. The Pope is the leader of the Catholic Church, the worldwide Catholic Church. He is not the leader of the American Catholic Church. Yes, he is American. He is the first American Pope. But that does not mean he will only be a Pope for America. It is just an incredibly selfish, ridiculous statement. I expect nothing less at this point because Our president, unfortunately, is just about him, and he only sees the world through his lens. Where today, people around the world celebrated this new leader of the Catholic Church. And whether you are Catholic or whether you aren't Catholic, the Pope has always been one of the most famous people in the world. Long before social media and the internet, long before television and radio, the two leaders in the world that people knew for sure were the Dalai Lama and the Pope. Those are the leaders that people knew. And so the Pope brings with him the respect and the admiration of people of many faiths. A lot of people don't understand Catholicism, and as someone who grew up Catholic, I will be the first to tell you, it's a complex religion. There are rules and regulations and statutes and liturgies and papal documents. You could spend the rest of your life, or I, as a woman in my 50s, could spend the rest of my life studying Catholicism and still not totally grasp all of it. But at its core, like all religions, it is about loving your neighbor and loving God and acting from a place of love instead of a place of hate, division, and selfishness, and just total animosity for anyone who is not like you. And I really do hope that with the coronation of Leo XIV, that people who only see the world through their eyes and their perspective will have their hearts touched and will be able to see the world differently. Not even as a Catholic, not even necessarily as a person of faith, but as a person who understands that we are all connected and what happens to one will at some point happen to all. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. Next week, I'm hoping to continue my music series, so we'll be moving back to music next week. In the interim, please leave your comments if you have any thoughts about the new Pope and the choice that the Conclave made. Please leave it below in the comments. And also, if you're not subscribed to this podcast, please also do that down below. And I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Take care.